It is 5:10 a.m. where I'm at, and we are about to get started this morning with the morning routine. So I hope you're doing well. Where you are this morning, like I just said, it is 5:12 a.m. and we're getting started. It's day 316. It's hard to keep track. But the number now makes me smile because it used to be day 1, day 2, day 30, day 100, and now we're at day 116. And we've been here consistently working out, going through our routine, which I think is cool. It is Saturday morning where I'm at, and on Saturday morning we always stop and do mobility. So that's what we're going to do, and it's also time for us to shake things up a little bit because we've been doing strength now for the last weeks, and we're going to shift back to a mix of strength and conditioning in the coming weeks. So I'm looking at a new training program, but more importantly, or more than that, I am also looking into how we can change and build, how we can build lasting change in 2025. So is that something you're interested in? Do keep watching, because I do have some insights for you and for me. What do I mean when I say lasting change, by the way? I mean that when it comes to living a healthy lifestyle, and when it comes to being healthy, I think that some of the things that drive our behaviors are important to take a look at and consider as we go through life. And I can hear some people coming home from, I think, a night out outside. And that's something that we're going to talk about and actually take a look at how we can make some changes throughout life, throughout the next weeks, that will teach us something about changing the structure of our life, changing the skills that we have related to health and fitness, and also looking at our goals and the reason why we want to achieve those goals over time. So, hey, if that's something you're interested in, go ahead and subscribe to my channel and we can keep talking about that. It is 5:13 in the morning. I have a little bit of a scratchy voice, in case you haven't noticed. There is this bug going around and it is getting colder outside, but I'm fighting it off because I think my immune system right now is top notch. For those of you who don't know me but started watching, hi, my name is Toby. I am somewhere in Amsterdam. It is 5:13 a.m. and I train for living a healthy, self-sufficient and active life. Not only today, in my 40s, but for my 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and maybe even a bit older. YouTube punk, it's good to see you again. I hope you're doing all right. How was the workout? I hope you had a good workout earlier today, because I just woke up and last time we spoke, you were about to get started, I think, on your workout. So for those of you who, Toby streams live from an undisclosed location in Amsterdam. For those of you who are just watching, I was just explaining, right? So my intention is to be fit and healthy and capable for life. I want to feel fit and competent as I go through the days. And this is all about the way I feel, not about the way I look. But I do always say that any health and fitness goal is a valid goal, and you can have different goals at different times in your life. So you might be a stage where fat loss or weight loss is important, or weight management. Staying at the same weight is as good a goal as weight loss, or maybe even weight gain is a goal. It could also be that you want to build the way you look, because that has your interest, or you're competing in something, and that is super cool. You might be interested in strength training because you're competing in a strength competition, or you do kinds of sports that require feats of strength. Same goes for endurance, or a mix of some of those, or you just want to be functionally fit and healthy overall like me. Whatever your goal is, maybe there's something we can talk about on this channel together. So go ahead and subscribe if that's something that you're interested in. Yeah, Good, but that's also a sign that you're getting fitter and stronger, YouTube punk. So I think that's a good thing, right? And let me know when you get back. So if that's something you're interested in, go ahead, subscribe, leave a comment here, ask me a question. I like to talk about my journey and my experiences over the years that have brought me to my current levels of health and fitness, and I have a feeling I'm just getting started. I also always say that I mind my sleep. I try to get between 7 and 9 hours every day. Yesterday was 6 hours and 15 minutes, or last night, the day before 6.5. So I have a feeling that tonight I am going to have to catch up on some sleep, if at all possible. But 6.5 is really the lower limit, and shouldn't be more than 1 week of 6.5 hours of sleep every night. Usually 7.5 hours is a sweet spot for me. I mind what I eat. Specifically, I mind how much I eat. I'm trying to manage my weight, stay at the same weight as I am and keep consistent. But I have also been on a weight loss journey. I have also eaten very specifically to grow muscle. So I've seen both spectrums of that, both ends of that spectrum. And then I work on my strength training, my conditioning training, and my mobility. Mobility is what we're going to be doing this morning. I also always say we're good just the way we are. We've got to love ourselves before we can move on. Whatever the change is that we're trying to make in life, friends, we need to remember that it is who we are today who's going to get us to where we want to be, or who we want to be tomorrow. And a bit of kindness to ourselves goes a long way, because there are enough people out there who are willing to put us down. We don't have to do that to ourselves. In fact, we should encourage ourselves, whatever the journey is that we're on, because that is probably the most important thing we can give ourselves when we challenge ourselves to learn something new, and that can be very difficult. And like I always say, the only way to get anything done is by showing up and doing the work. So it is 5:20 a.m. I'm going to read that last comment, and then we're going to get started. KM, how to train the glutes? KM, thanks for dropping by, and I hope you're well where you are in the world, and I appreciate you asking a question. I'm not your personal trainer, and I don't know enough about your personal circumstances to understand what your goals are specifically and what you're trying to achieve. But generally, right, the glutes are trained either in isolation or by doing movements that activate them as a part of the entire movement chain. So you can think about deadlifts, you can think about hip thrusters, you can think about kickbacks, which I think also are, or donkey kicks, which are generally also the exercises that are recommended when trying to train that part of your body. You can do squats, different variations of squats with different emphasis. So there are different kinds of exercises to challenge specifically those muscles in your body. I hope that answers your question, and thanks for taking the time to ask me a question. I appreciate that. I'm going to start the timer, and we are going to get started. And if you have any other questions, want to talk about anything else, go ahead and ask me in the chat as well. I'm always happy to talk about health and fitness in general, right? So, friends, let's talk about the week and making changes in the week, because I've had a pretty good week, because I've had 3 days out of 5 where I defeated the candy jar at work. Now, if you've been following my channel for an extended period of time, you know that the place where I work, we have different kinds of candy stacked out, and I sit very near. We're going to do a breathing exercise where we use the diaphragm to fill up our lungs and our belly, expand that space as much as we can. So I have this jar of candy, or actually multiple jars of candy, standing within 10 paces of my desk, right in the kitchenette. I also walk into to drink a glass of water once in a while, about once every hour or so. So obviously there are about 7 or 8 moments, throughout the day where my willpower and my impulse control is challenged because the candies in there are kind of calling to me that they want to be eaten. No, they're not, but I think you understand the problem that I face, right? Hey, Justin, how's it going? Thanks for dropping by, and I hope you're doing well. Thanks for chiming in on the chat. So you were working on your legs this week, if you're doing that many squats. You can get pretty sore, despite those being the biggest muscles in our bodies, right? The leg muscles, where we can produce a lot of strength and power. It's also important for us to give us enough time to recover. And Justin, I hope you're doing well where you are in the world. And thanks for dropping by and chiming in on the chat. So, like I was saying, that candy jar has been getting to me for weeks and weeks. And it got to the point where, it starts off like 2 months ago, 3 months ago with, I'll just have one, and then 10 weeks later, you're at the point where you're just walking by every chance you get, and you have 10 or 20 pieces of candy on a day. I do not make a joke when I say this. It's like opening a pack of certain cookies that are very sweet. And what that started to do, it started to irritate me, because I know very rationally that eating those candies are in no way contributing to my overall health and fitness goals, yet the behavior became a pattern. And I've been looking for ways to really beat that pattern, get it out of my system, replace it with something better. But it requires willpower. It would work for one day, and then I'd get back to it the next day, and the next day, and it would always be, just one. And then, of course, after one came the next, and the next, and the next, and the next, right? So, what I tried to do is figure out and break down the pattern of activity that kept leading to me sticking my hand into the candy jar. Now, we can learn some things from this, so pay attention. The one thing that I figured out is that I'm always a bit stressed at work But some days more than others. And I realized that over summer I had actually had quite a stressful period at work, and it was during those very stressful weeks that I had started to actually stick my hand into that candy jar and take more candy every day, right? So there was the factor of being slightly stressed out that didn't help. Was there anything else that was going on? Well, yes, there was actually. I'm just going to rock back and forth. Wait for the timer to run out so we can get on with the world's greatest stretch. So I was a bit stressed out and I would start to eat more. Great. What else was going on? Well, I would walk into that micro kitchen multiple times a day, and instead of grabbing a glass of water, I would start to study the different types of candies that were in the different kinds of jars. First I'd look at the label, then I'd open them one by one to see what was in there. And of course it worked by opening them one by one. You'll also find the candy that you want to eat, that you have a craving you didn't know existed. Of course you start eating it. So that was the second behavior. The third behavior was that I really wanted to drink something, but I would often end up having a candy, not drinking anything, so not hydrating. And then of course, because I didn't hydrate, I'd get a bit hungry or peckish. Go back and have a little snack 5 minutes before lunch, 20 minutes before going home. So there you have it. You have a whole day filled with walking into that kitchenette and simply eating for the sake of eating. So how did I break the pattern this week? First of all, there was one day where I couldn't go into the office. So on the day that I'm not in the office, actually, I don't feel like snacking, and I'm extra mindful of what I eat while I'm at home that day, because I'm thinking about how I'm going to beat my relationship with that candy jar at the office. Because overall, right, having a snack once in a while is not a problem. Having a piece of candy once in a while is not a problem. But it becomes a problem when you're bored and stressed at work. And there's usually ample reason to be a bit stressed or a bit bored, or a combination of both at the office. To fill those moments with food. So I realized while I was working from home, the opportunity to have that candy wasn't there, barring going to the supermarket or the candy shop and actually getting it. So that was one day that I was victorious, and I decided to hold on to that momentum by forcing myself to actually pick up a glass of water and drink it every time I would go into that kitchenette. And that is the only thing that I could do in that kitchenette. That was the agreement I made with myself. I would go in, I would have a glass of water, and I would walk out again. And having a glass of water has 3 or 4 steps to it, right? To pick up the glass, run the tap, fill the glass with water, drink it, put it on the dirty dishes tray that we have in the kitchenette, and then from there go back to my desk. And the first time I did spend a few moments staring at the different candy jars, but I told myself, no, I'm here to drink a glass of water, go sit back down. So here's the upside, right? I'm hydrating better throughout the day, because every time I mindlessly wander into that kitchen, I redirect my purpose to having a glass of water. And having that glass of water puts enough of a mental pause and barrier between me and that candy that I'm able to skip that candy for 2 days that I am in the office. And then yesterday I was at my parents', and now here comes they weren't babysitting or minding our oldest one because I needed to work. So it's very sweet of them to spend some time with him, which of course they love, and he loves as well. But there you come to the root of the problem with candy. My dad has a sweet tooth, and we used to eat candy together when I was a kid. And of course they offered me some candy because they had it in a jar, and they even said, yeah, we bought this for you because we know you like it. And now, without being rude or obtuse, because boy, it was really sweet of them to think of that and of me for that, right? I politely declined and said I was trying to not have candy that week because I'd been eating too much candy, and they laughed and smiled and said, okay, put it away. But see, when we have these kinds of challenges with specific kinds of foods, it's important to understand that it's not just that craving or that moment that we're fighting against, but something like this, it's also good childhood memories, happy memories, but also habits and behaviors that have been around, in my case, for about 40 years, right? So yeah, my parents were happy, and I managed to be off candy for 4 days in a row. I always say at the top of the chat, and I always ask people to be respectful and kind. So let's keep the chat friendly and welcoming to everyone that wants to spend time here. Mel B, hi Mel B, thanks for dropping by and saying hi. I hope you're doing well where you are in the world. It's 5:35 a.m. and I'm working on my morning routine. And temp. I appreciate you all dropping by and respectfully participating in the chat this morning. Thank you very much. So 4 days without candy, and that was a good week for me. I'm very happy about that because, like I said at the start, weight management is one of my goals for health and fitness. One of the things that I try to do to accomplish that is to eat satiating meals, home cooked, nutritious, with whole foods, try to eat about 120 to 150 grams of protein in a day. But more importantly than that, when it comes to weight management, it is really a matter of balancing my energy. And to be honest, with 4 relatively wholesome, sizable meals that pack a lot of nutrients into them, not specifically calorie dense, but a good volume of vegetables, for example, paired with enough protein sources and some carbs to go with that, there's not that much wiggle room to indulge and gorge in snacks. And I think it's just important for us to keep that in mind as we move through life and set health and fitness goals to ourselves. I spent a lot of time tracking my calories. I learned a lot from doing that, I think for 2.5 years. And I honestly think that if you never have studied food, and specifically the foods that you eat regularly, it's more important to spend some time learning what foods are that you are eating regularly and how they contribute to your health and fitness overall and generally in life. So this is why when it comes to candy or snacking, I'm quite mindful about what I try to allow and disallow into my diet. And like I said, sometimes there are periods of time where a bad habit creeps in. Thankfully, I've got the skills and knowledge to work with myself to change or replace those habits with ones that are more conducive, geared towards my long-term health and fitness goals. So, that's why also, friends, when I'm working on videos, when I'm talking about making changes for 2025, I think it's important for us to have a goal and also a reason why we want to how should I put it, chase that goal. Why do we want to be healthy and fit? What is the reason for us? Why are we interested in losing weight or maintaining weight or gaining muscle or getting stronger? Because if we have a good enough reason, we will also have the fuel to push through adversity, limitations, and find a way to make it work. Because the most important thing is that we are consistent over time. And I think that's one of the reasons I started this channel, is because I know how hard it can be to show up and do the work, how hard it can be to be consistent in your health and fitness goals, and how nice it can be when you have someone to be on that journey with together. So if that's something you're interested in, friends, then you can go ahead and subscribe to my channel. I'm Toby, I'm 40 years old, and I train to live an active and self-sufficient and adventurous life, not only now, but hopefully up until I'm 80 or 90, because I've understood that we might live to be very old, but that our health and life, especially in the last 5 to 10 years, might be fraught with discomfort and disease. And I'm trying to head that off by living better, smarter, and healthier now. There'll be, well, thank you and blessings back to you as well. I hope you're well. You're a kind man. Dry out Rover, thank you for dropping by and for chiming in on the chat. I appreciate you dropping by and saying hi. I hope you're doing well where you are in the world. Omu channel, hello. Same to you. Thank you for dropping by. And I hope you're well where you are in the world. It's 5:41 a.m. and I'm working on my mobility this morning. Eyewitness, Io, welcome back. Eyewitness, thanks for dropping by and saying hi. And I hope you're well where you are. And I appreciate you dropping by again, coming back to my channel. Once again, YouTube Punk is back. And I hope you're doing well, buddy. So you slayed that workout, and that's great. And I think you're making the kind of progress that you want to make in your health and fitness. And that you've been very consistent and very dedicated to your goals and what you're trying to do. So what we're going to do starting next week is I'm going to check in with you every day if you decide to join me and watch this channel during my live streams, but also through my longer form videos on how we're going to tackle some relatively straightforward behavior changes that'll provide us a window into the challenges specifically in our lives that are present when it comes to us trying to achieve our health and fitness goals. So what does that mean exactly? Well, I've explained this before, but it's always worth repeating, is that when we try to make changes, when we set ourselves a goal of wanting to be healthy and fit, we have a certain lifestyle. We have certain habits. We have certain structures in our life. And we have certain social circles. We have certain commitments, responsibilities. We have to keep in mind when we want to change anything that we're doing, that it is not just a matter of saying we want to make a change. There might be a lot of reasons why we do things the way we do them. And one of the hardest things about making changes in our lives is the fact that we forget how big of a role actually our circumstances play in our ability to make changes and improvements to our lifestyle. So what we're going to do over the next 4 weeks is take a look at minor changes. We're going to try to have an extra glass of water every day throughout the week. We're going to try to go for a 10-minute walk every day in the second week. We're going to try to wind down better for sleep at the end of the day. So we're going to take 15 minutes at the end of every day and create a winding down ritual in the third week. And we're going to try to add more protein to our diet in the fourth week. Now, what you realize is that each one of those will highlight a specific challenge with the habits, structures, demands, responsibilities, commitments, circles, people we share our living space with, and the circumstances of our lives. And why is that important? Well, if you can't figure out how to create a pattern, a circumstance, a moment to add an extra glass of water to your daily routine, so once a day, how can you expect yourself to be consistent in terms of showing up and exercising every day, or having a different breakfast every day, or having a different lunch every day? Let's see. I witness, I work out myself. Whoa! Wow, that's really cool. I've seen those on YouTube. Must have been an intense workout, eyewitness. And thanks for don't mind sharing. I appreciate that. You're welcome, YouTube Punk. And Evalis, good morning. Glad to see you as well. Hope you're doing well where you are in the world, and that the day and life is treating you well, just like it's treating us well here as well. So it's not an admonition. It's just an observation of fact that the reason we can't figure out the bigger things is because we don't understand the underlying dynamics. So by learning to have that glass of water every day, we learn something about how hard it is to build a new behavior, a single new behavior. And that will also help us be a bit more realistic. Like when it comes to health and fitness, one of the things we sometimes have to change is what we eat, our diet, right? All right, good. If you go through this exercise, you'll very quickly realize that changing breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and snacks, and the contents of your refrigerator is quite the challenge. You know, those are actually 6 challenges all rolled into one. So maybe by acknowledging the fact that that is a challenge, because you've understood how hard it is to have a glass of water, but also to add some protein to your meal, the final challenge of 4. Realize that maybe starting off by changing 1 out of 3 meals in a day, lunch, breakfast, or dinner, is really a good enough start. And if you manage to do that for 14 days, and you're successful, and you count anywhere between 7 and 14, you run into your first major upheaval. Someone gets ill, you get ill, you have to travel for work, whatever. That makes it more difficult for you to be consistent with your goal, and you've pushed through that midpoint. And then you can look at adding an additional challenge, right? So taking it 1 step at a time. And why do we need to take it 1 step at a time when we're trying to make these kinds of changes? Well, we need to take it 1 step at a time when we're making these kinds of changes, because that keeps it manageable, and small changes, good habits, stack one on top of the other, right? So if you think about it, over the course of a year, right, over the course of 365 days, if every month we change one thing, so we start with breakfast in January, then we add 10 to 15 minutes of exercise every day, like walking in February, or kettlebell in February, and we just start light also because each of these progresses. Then we add that second meal in March, right? So we go from breakfast to dinner. So now change 2 meals and we're exercising more. And then we start to mind our sleep because we're now exercising more, but we're also eating better. Say, okay, from April, we actually want to focus on how well we're sleeping and what we can do to sleep better. And then from there, we keep building throughout the years. That's 12 big changes. That is 3 meals. That is workout intensity. Maybe in May you decide you go from 15 minutes to 30 minutes, 3 to 4 times a week. You start to mind your sleep better. And then, you're 6 months in, and you've probably changed the 3 biggest factors contributing to your general health and fitness significantly. And because those habits stack one on top of the other and they're relatively small, they also become a chain that's relatively sticky in your life, right? Because now you change one, you might change all of them, but you've invested so much time and you've come so far. So why would you do that? Well, then you get to go on holidays, right? Usually in summer, vacationing time, different environment, different structure. Guess what? Different environment provides us with different impulses to behave in different ways. And we have to be consistent again, but if you're consistent through the holidays with the habits that you've changed, with the habits that you've been trying to change for health and fitness, then you're going to get, you're going to see that throughout the course of a year. You're going to start to notice changes in how you feel, how much energy you have, your outlook on life, and your self-fix, your belief in yourself, your confidence in yourself that you're able to make these changes and that they'll last. Ken Topaz, thanks for dropping by and saying hi. I should probably put a note or something up at the top of the chat. This is a channel about health and fitness, and I prefer not to discuss politics in the chat because I think it's quite a laden topic. But we can talk about anything related to health and fitness and living a healthier lifestyle for a long and a happy life free of disease and discomfort. Because for those of you who are watching and who are new to my channel, my name is Toby. I'm 40 years old and it is 5:53 a.m. where I'm at in Amsterdam, and I'm training to live a long, happy, active, and self-sufficient and adventurous life. Not only now, but through my 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and who knows, if I live to be 100, I might still be swinging kettlebell. If you want to see how that challenge pans out, then you go ahead and subscribe to my channel. Be on this journey together. So, small changes go a long way in getting you results over a long period of time. Like I always say, health and fitness is very personal. It's very hard to tell by looking at someone how healthy and fit they are. It really is. You don't know. Everyone has different goals, but everyone also has different reasons why they want to be healthy. Everyone has different circumstances or structures in their lives. And everyone has a different level of skill and knowledge to actually make those changes. in their lives. That's why I propose doing those 4 small challenges, because doing those 4 small challenges is going to show you so much about the structures in your life, the skills and knowledge you have about what it means to live and be healthy and fit, and also the goal you set for yourself and why that goal is important to you. So if the goal is big enough, or the reason why you want to accomplish that goal is big enough, then figuring out the structures and the skills becomes relatively easy. Who hasn't? Like Jean-Claude Van Damme was a big thing when I was a teenager and I was into martial arts. What you're doing is type of stuff I should do more. Bad habit of walking out the door. Start running. Well, warming up and cooling down is important, right? And it's important because it prepares our body for action, and then it also tells our body to wind down, so activating and deactivating our nervous system. Moving on to some core exercises, by the way. So we're not done yet this morning, even though it is almost 6 a.m. and I would really like to have a cup of coffee. We're taking things at an easy pace these weeks. So doing McGill's Big 3, lying down and making sure that that core is braced. And again, it's always good if we can keep talking and breathing behind this shield, regardless of how we're moving. Last one. Then we go to the everyone's favorite side plank, right? But I think mobility only really became a thing for me a year ago. Whereas now, realizing the benefits of it, I feel I should have started in my 20s and never stopped. But here's the thing about health. It's not a primary need for us as people. We only notice it's a problem when it becomes problematic. Okay? So every investment we make in health, in our health, is because we enjoy it, because it's a conscious effort, because we have a bigger long-term goal, or because we have an acute need to actually intervene in our health and fitness. But generally, if everything's working more or less fine, we see no reason to do anything about it. And given today's society, the prevalence of food, the relative comfort, and lack of physical activity in our environment and daily routines, there's just so many things that are conducive to poor health for us as human beings. And that's something we need to just keep in mind, something I'm mindful of, which is why I've been showing up every day to do the work. And I can tell you, for me, it's been paying off greatly in the overall scope of my life. And not just because all of you have been subscribing and joining me and hanging out with me here in the chat, which, by the way, I really appreciate. But also the fun and play I'm able to have with my kids, the amount of focus I'm able to bring to a day, the fact that I can lift up one of my kids on one side, squat down, pick something up off the floor, and stand back up without injuring myself. Those are all things that I'm very happy about, very proud of, and things that I would like to continue doing throughout life. So, So yeah, friends, that's what we'll be focusing on for most of November. If that's something you're interested in, go ahead, subscribe to my channel. We can continue having this conversation. Over the course of the next month, because we sometimes forget. We're like, well, we don't do New Year's resolutions, but a new year, new start, quite naturally is a time for change. So it's very normal to want to look at the past year, look at what we've done, and then look ahead and see where life is going to take us. I've been doing this for years. Every year I will sit down on Old Year's Day and reflect on the years. I think this is something I've been doing for 16 or 17 years now, maybe even longer. Maybe I started when I was 21, so 19 years. And on New Year's Day, I write myself a letter outlining all of the things that I want to focus on. And that letter is addressed to me on December 31st of that year, because it provides me with an interesting benchmark and insight into what I thought was important 12 months ago and what actually became important throughout the year. But if you've ever been to one of my Sunday morning live streams, you'll saw that on Sundays I have my little wheel of reflection where we look at the 4 areas I think are worth keeping in mind and reflecting on every week. That is different aspects of my health, different relationships I have in life, how I'm managing the financial opportunities I have, so my regular income, my savings, my investments in the future, and then the pursuits that I'm after in life, like creating this channel and videos. Also, creative writing is a hobby of mine. And when those are in balance, generally, I feel quite content and happy. So, it's just worth keeping that in mind. That there are weekly reflections, as well as once a year, a big one. Definitely not my favorite exercise. Yeah. Yeah, I think when it comes to people who win the genetic lottery, currently we are quite regularly confronted with their antics online, and when they don't realize that they become influencers because of the way they look. They are not influencers because of, and they don't look the way they are because they're influencers. they forget that not everyone can attain the same standards, and that fitness and the way we look is actually very personal. And that's why I always say we're good just the way we are, being happy with who we are and what we are today, and not being too concerned about how we look or what other people might feel about how we look, but just focusing on our own health. And fitness and being competent, capable throughout life are way more attainable goals for most of us. School teachers did that. She never did. What a slight childhood trauma there, huge punk. Actually reminds me of a conversation I had with my youngest the other day when I was putting him to bed. And Mauricio Aureliano, thanks for dropping by and saying hi. I hope you're well where you are in the world. And that you're having a good day. It is 6:07 a.m. where I'm at, and we have moved from mobility to some core exercises where my youngest, without me realizing it, started talking about the fact that I hadn't waved at him at the drop-off at the daycare. And at that point in time, because he was so upset about it, and it really hurt his feelings. He's 2.5 years old, right? I realized that when I dropped him off, I said, okay, go over to the window, because I'll wave to you. But then it was raining when we got outside, and I wanted to get out of the rain in a hurry. So we raced by the window without looking in. And I felt so bad, because at that age, these little things, they're all emotions. And it left such an impression on him that the next day, yesterday, I actually made a point out of driving back, because he'd driven away. I hadn't told him I was going to wave, but we'd driven away, and I thought, no, what will make him really happy is if today we do stop by the window and wave. So you should have seen the smile on his face when his brother and I appeared by the window to wave at him. But also in the evening, when I asked him about it, I said, and did Dad wave to you? And he was so happy. He said, yes. I think when our expectations are met, they're pleasant surprises in life, right? When our expectations aren't met, well, then we get a bit disappointed in life. So, the grudge. Yeah, you should probably let it go, but everything in its own time. You could write her a letter and say, hey, by the way, do you still have that letter of mine from when I was a kid? Let's see what she might say and I have to offer. Going into the final sets of the core exercises, and to do the lifting one of the supports, holding this plank. Then we're going to do some one-arm swings. and the kicker on all fours, dragging the little kettlebell around. And we'll have had a good morning routine. This morning. And at 6:12 a.m. we've been at it for a good while. And it's been a fun morning to spend with you, friends. I hope you're doing well where you're at in the world. And I thank you for dropping by and saying hi. Korea. Hey, Korea, good morning. Happy Saturday. And thanks for dropping by and saying hi. I hope you're doing well where you are in the world. Here we are again, day 316. And we're slowly barreling towards the end of the world. And I'm about to go grab my cup of coffee, or tea. Jesus. Thank you for dropping by and appreciate you saying hi. And I hope that you are well where you are in the world this morning or this evening or this afternoon. And YouTube punk. Indeed, that little kettlebell is indeed one of my best friends and biggest challenges. And like I said earlier, I need to put a little disclaimer at the top of the chat maybe next time that we want to talk about health and fitness here in the community and conversation. Thanks YouTube Punk for being here today again. Korea, thanks for dropping by and saying hi. Ivalis, thanks for dropping by. I think Eyewitness as well. Thanks for saying hi and dropping by. And Justin, I hope your legs will recover from all of those squats that you've been doing. For those of you who just dropped by watching, I'm done with my workout or my morning routine today. My name is Toby. I am 40 years old and I'm training to live an adventurous, active and self-sufficient life, not only now, but well into the future. I do that by minding my sleep 7 to 9 hours a day, what I eat, my nutrition, predominantly managing my energy balance, but also trying to take in 120 to 150 grams of protein in a day. I work on my strength, I work on my conditioning, and I work on my mobility, as you may have seen this morning. That's 30 minutes to an hour of my day. There are 23 other hours in the day that I sometimes always also talk to on streams a bit later on in the day. So if that's something you're interested in, you go ahead and subscribe to my channel. I talk about kettlebells, fitness, health, and what health and fitness means and how we can get there, start to build habits that will keep us healthy and fit over a longer period of time by being consistent in smaller things throughout life. That's all I have for you this morning. Like I always say, we're good just the way we are. We've got to love ourselves before we can move on. What's that? And the only way to get anything done, friends, is by showing up and doing the work. So be kind to ourselves today. Look forward to tomorrow. I'll be back for another stream. And if you're interested, I will see you there. If you subscribe to my channel, turn on the notifications. And to everyone else, Ivalis, YouTube Punk, Korea, I Wish, Justin, and everyone else who is watching today as well, have a great day, friend. Take care.